Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. On my most recent net worth update, I mentioned that I got 100,000 bonus points from my Chase Sapphire Preferred card, which I opened up a couple months ago. This isn't the first time I've received a major bonus for opening and using a credit card, so I definitely wanted to take a moment to talk about it because there's a lot of money on the table for someone who wants to take advantage of something like credit card churning, as it's often called. A couple years back, I was able to use the same strategy to get a bunch of bonus points, and that covered the majority of my honeymoon expenses when my wife and I took a trip to the Cayman Islands, and boy, those were different times when it came to traveling, and all the pandemic wasn't upon us and everything like that. But it was a nice trip, and it was even nicer because much of the expenses were completely taken care of by credit card points. And the strategy is really simple, at least for those who have decent credit and who aren't afraid to dirty it up a bit by getting some hard inquiries on it to actually take out credit cards in the first place, though a lot of the negative impacts on your credit score can be offset by the larger credit limit that you might have. Of course, every person is different and it's not gonna work the same in every case, but in general, if you have decent credit, you're gonna have a lot of different opportunities to open up credit cards. And many of these credit cards will offer introductory bonuses, and you'll typically have to meet some sort of minimum spend, and then when you do that, you'll get some sort of reward on the other side, usually in the form of cashback or in the form of travel rewards and travel points. And when it comes to cashback, I'm not talking about your typical 1 or 2% that a card might offer, but it's an additional introductory bonus, typically a couple $100, sometimes much more depending on the size of the card and how much spending you're doing. But it's much more than the simple 1 to 2% that you might expect anyways with a standard cashback card. In the case of this card, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is the card I got a couple of months ago, I had to spend something like $4,000 within the first 3 or 4 months of having it. And as long as I hit that minimum spend, then I would get 100,000 bonus points, which I could use to redeem for cashback, or I could redeem it for travel rewards through Chase. So they're pretty versatile in that way. It's not as though I have to use them towards travel, so I have a cashback option there. But you could really generally call it about $1,000 worth of value that I got just from spending $4,000 that I was gonna be spending anyways. I actually put part of our basement rehab on this. If you followed the channel, you'll know that I had a basement flood recently, and I put a bit of the expenses on that, which really accelerated some of the actual payments towards that minimum spend. Now, because I pay my card off every single month, I don't have to pay any interest on the actual spending that I do on this credit card. That's what makes it so great. I'm getting this reward for practically doing nothing. The only real negative is I had to do a hard inquiry on my credit. So if I was gearing up for something like a real estate purchase, which I was over the summer while I was looking for a new primary residence, then this strategy might not be that great, because you really want to make sure your credit is crystal clear when you're going to do something like get a first mortgage on your primary residence. The bank is generally going to want to see that you're not applying for a bunch of new cards or a bunch of new debt right before you're about to get a mortgage, since it suggests that you're more risky than maybe another borrower who isn't doing that. I guess because you don't have as many points of failure, but really it's because those accounts haven't been seasoned as much, I think is the rationale. This is new debt. They don't really know how you're going to handle it, so they don't like seeing brand new debt opened up right before they're about to issue a hefty mortgage to you. At least that's what I think the rationale is. But anyways, if you're not doing something like that, you can use your credit score as an asset. By using something like credit card churning, you're dinging your credit score in the short term, but really in the long term, it should start to actually improve as the average length of your credit history grows, as your credit balances grow. Those are all good things for your credit score. So it's not as though everything is bad, but in the short term, you're probably going to have some sort of negative impact on your score. But in the meantime, you can get some serious rewards just by doing things like credit card churning. And the intro offers are not always the same. For example, with this card, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, this was at 100,000 bonus points just this past summer. I took advantage of it before they actually switched it back down to, I think it's down to 60,000 bonus points, which is still very hefty, but it's not nearly as hefty as the 100,000 bonus points, which is really more like $1,000 of value. I guess now you could see it as being more like $600 in value just for that introductory offer. This is before you get into all the other points and benefits that the card can bring you. Speaking of this card in particular, if you guys want to check it out, I'll include a referral link in the description below. I get some bonus points if you sign up through that link, at least for the first few people who do. So go ahead and check that out. I don't think you get any other special bonus for it, but as of right now, it should link you to the 60,000 bonus point offer if you want to go ahead and open up this card if you have decent credit. But there are some extra drawbacks with some types of credit card churning. In this card's case, it does have an annual fee to worry about. It's $95 a year. So if you want to hold this card for the long term, you're going to have to be paying out some sort of fee, and that's obviously not the best. But if you're going to be using the card enough anyways, after you get that intro offer, it can still be well worth it. Plus, you could always close the card sometime after the first year. If you use all your points up, you use the intro offer, you're all done with it, go ahead, close it out. You're gonna lose that credit history and that's no good. But if you don't want to pay the annual fee and you already have a pretty solid credit base, then what's the harm? But there are plenty of free cards out there that'll give you a couple $100 in many cases just for spending $500 to $1,000. So that's free money right there if you're going to be making that spending anyways. Generally, I wouldn't force spending just to reach some sort of intro offer. Of course, unless the offer is just that ludicrous that it really does make sense to overspend in a particular month. But you generally want to fit it into your current budget and just keep spending the money that you would be spending anyways. Then it's of no extra cost to you other than dinging your credit score in the short term and maybe any annual fees that might come up from time to time. It's probably one of the easiest ways to make a couple $1,000s every single year without really having to do anything. If you just cherry pick some intro offers here and there that look really enticing, that look easy to achieve, go ahead and do those and then reap the rewards. You can get some nice free vacations out of it. That's certainly something I am planning on doing with the 100,000 points we just got. My wife and I will probably do some sort of anniversary trip, maybe back to the Cayman Islands, maybe somewhere else. We have some flexibility since we have this now large nest egg of credit card points. Maybe nest egg is the wrong word since that implies you could retire on these sorts of things and you're holding them for the long term. In many cases, these points do expire, so be sure you understand when the points expire, when you got to use them. It's no use going for all these intro offers if you're not going to actually use the points before they expire, but in many cases you have a few years to use them, but again, check the terms and conditions of whatever card you're going for. I'd hesitate to call credit card churning a side hustle because there really isn't much hustle to it. You just apply for cards, it takes a few minutes in many cases, and that's it. You get the card, you do all the spending that you would be doing anyways because it's within your budget, you hit the actual spending target needed for the intro offer, you take the intro offer, and then you are golden. And as long as you're not reckless with your credit cards, you should be in really good shape. There's always risk with credit cards. You don't want to be paying interest on these things since they are super expensive when you do that. They're not really useful debt tools, even though that is what they are. They are amazing for producing bonus rewards and bonus points, and that's really what a responsible person should be doing with them. You can get really aggressive with them if you're trying to do something more entrepreneurial using other people's money. Sometimes credit cards will offer low interest rate promotions where maybe you pay 2 to 3% interest for 12 months or even 0% interest and you pay a fee or something like that. And that can be an option, but you got to be really careful with credit cards because they can get very expensive very quickly. So tread carefully. And that goes with any type of debt. When you're adding debt, you're adding risk. So please be careful. I'm no financial advisor, so I can't tell you how to use debt. I can't tell you how to use your credit score. That is up for you to decide. All I can say is that credit card churning can be very lucrative when done correctly. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. So if you like this video, please like it since that would help the channel out a lot. And if there are any specific credit cards out there that are offering really great bonuses that you've come across, definitely let me know in the comments below since that would be super helpful. And like I mentioned earlier, check out the referral link to the Chase card if you're interested in that one. And be sure to subscribe since I put out new videos every single week as they have to do with personal finance and investing, and I wouldn't want you guys to miss out. Until next time, take care.